What is the leading cause of death in America today? Heart disease. Though this is true, having a healthier heart is much easier than it may seem. And while no one is safe from heart disease, everybody can fight back. I'm currently studying to be a cardiac rehab specialist, so I have a little bit of credibility in this area. And what I've noticed is that many people don't know the dangers of heart disease or ways to combat it. The first way to combat heart disease I will cover is dieting. Dieting is one of the biggest contributors to heart disease in America, especially because Americans have notoriously egregious diets and eat much more than we should, especially when it comes to sodium. Sodium and salt is probably the biggest contributor in our diets to hypertension. And hypertension in our blood vessels can stop blood flow to our heart and lead directly to heart disease. The average American diet has about 3,500 milligrams of sodium per day in it, when the international recommended average is about 2,000 milligrams. And for those that are having problems with hypertension, cutting down from that 3,500 milligrams to just 1,200 milligrams per day can show significant results in preventing a heart attack or stroke in just 13 days. And while this may seem difficult to make such a cut from going to about 3,500 to 1,200, it's about 1/3 of what you were eating before. And there are ways to help you with this, namely the DASH diet. DASH stands for Dietary Approaches to Stop Hypertension. This diet was created by the National Heart, Lung, and Blood Institute. It is extremely low in sodium and fat, and it focuses mainly on eating vegetables, fruits, and grains. When I was shadowing for cardiac rehab, they actually would show lectures on a big projector screen to the patients that would inform them on how to combat heart disease through dieting, and they talked a lot about sodium. They also had a big kitchen in there where they would cook meals for the patients and teach them how to make heart-healthy meals for themselves. Equally as important to heart health is exercise. Now, as you may expect, cardio is where you're going to see the best results for your heart here. But what you may not expect is that much less effort than what you may think is required to get great results. It's just about 2.5 hours a week of moderate exercise, and you can see significant results in your heart health. Now, moderate exercise entails things like brisk walking or jogging or anything of that nature. And you can get these results almost accidentally. For example, today I packed up my room and that took about 3 hours. So I pretty much got my weekly requirements right there on accident. Weightlifting is often overlooked when it comes to heart health. And this is because it has a much bigger impact on your muscles than it does your heart. But it also is because intense weightlifting is not recommended for those with private heart problems, as you can tear a blood vessel or other things of that nature. And once again, you won't have to put in as much effort as you may require. It's just about 2 to 3 times a week, about 30 minutes to an hour for each exercise, and at about a moderate intensity. For the best results, you should definitely partake in both of these exercise forms, as they both benefit in their own ways. And another thing I noticed while I was shadowing for cardiac rehab is that the results are pretty fast. Most of the patients there were elderly and had recently suffered from a stroke or a heart attack, and they came in to help get them back into shape. And the sessions that they were there for were about 3 times a week. They lasted about an hour and a half, and they were only there for about a month, and they were fully recovered from something as serious as a heart attack. Most of those people were very elderly, so the weightlifting aspect was a little bit drowned out because the weights usually didn't go above 5 to 10 pounds, but it was still definitely there, an important part of the process. The final great way to combat heart disease is going to be managing your stress. Stress is a deceptively large contributor to heart disease, as you really usually don't notice when it's creeping up on you and starting to have effects on your health. Stress is also a little bit trickier than the others because there is no one set way to manage your stress. Everybody has to find their own kind of way. So I'm simply going to implore you to branch out and find out what helps you relieve some of your stress and make time for that on a daily basis. The reason stress causes heart disease is because of a chemical called cortisone, which causes high blood cholesterol, high blood pressure, and high blood sugar, which all can lead to heart disease. And going a little bit back to earlier, those who exercise have been shown to have a much less severe physical effect from stress, so their brain actually releases less cortisol, and they have a little bit more longevity when it comes to that. In conclusion, the three most important things when it comes to combating heart disease are diet, consider the DASH diet if you're really struggling with this one, exercise, which you should definitely partake in both cardio and weightlifting. The cardio side of things you can do accidentally, so that shouldn't be a problem, although I do encourage you to go a little bit above and beyond what is recommended and push past that a little bit for better results. And stress management, and for that you just got to find out whatever works for you. How will you ensure a healthy future?